What's going on? It's Dukes and Bell on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. We start off every day and every hour by saying, hey, man! Another L for our Atlanta Hawks. We are down 0-2 in this series, and the series comes back to the ATL on Friday. Mike and I will be down there at State Farm Arena for Game 3 and getting you ready. Pregame at 6:30, tips at 7. Mike, this looked better, but then it looked familiar. It looked like Game 1 at the end of the game, right. But the way we started certainly looked better.
No, you got off to a great start, and everything was rolling. Matter of fact, the much maligned, certainly not just by us, but the much maligned DeAndre Hunter, he scores the first 2 baskets of the game, gives you first 5 points, and you actually had a nice run. You're leading, and then, I've never seen an end to a quarter. Sometimes at a half. But have you ever seen a quarter disintegrate the way that one did, and all the momentum went to Boston? The huge 3-point shot at the buzzer. All the good energy, all your vibe went right out the window right there at the end of the first.
It did. And again, I know a lot of people are focusing on Trey's performance and hoping that he can play even better. And he talked about it. And Mike, you said this. You feel like he's owning more of this stuff since Quinn Snyder's gotten here.
I think, we whatever you guys think, and I'm not going to argue about leadership and what a guy who's a star should be doing on a team or not. But I just think he's doing some of the things that we were trying to point out, and something you hear Jason Tatum and some other guys around the league do. So Jimmy Butler, for instance, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But yeah, I think he's owning it. Trey was 2 of 5 from 3. 2 of 8 from 3. I wanted him to shoot more threes. He did, but he didn't make any. So that's a problem. If you just looked at the stat sheet, 29 points for DeJounte Murray, 24 for Trey. 5 turnovers for Trey. There was a sequence. You and I were talking about this last night. We were texting back and forth. DeAndre Hunter, technically, Carl, was a +4. And the plus-minus is so nebulous for the NBA. I can think of about 10 points, 10 possessions where he either turned the ball over or missed a shot that just resulted in a Boston basket. And momentum went right out the window.
A lot of easy Boston baskets as well. We're talking about runouts. We call them snowbirds, whatever you might use the term, where you just have a guy down the court and they're just laying it up and nobody's there. Right. But you're right, Mike. And that's the thing. You get these mixed messages because DeAndre Hunter seemed to be aggressive early on and he's scoring, but then when you need him, in the heat of the game where you need some buckets, you need some shifts in momentum, he's not there. And then at the end of the game when we're down and he's all of a sudden hitting buckets. So at the end of the day, guys, is it unlikely that we don't at least win a game or 2 or maybe tie this series up? I'm not going to tell you it's impossible, but I will tell you it's unlikely because of the way this team is playing right now. And I'm talking about the Boston Celtics. Mike, everybody's working for them. Everything's working. Their stars are playing out of their mind. And as good as DeJounte played last night, Trey, even shooting the ball a little bit better, let's just say he did on Friday night, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
No, we talked about could Hunter step up, and he gave you 18, but as I said, he was a liability so many times down the floor to the point where I go friggin' Hunter last night because he was in on all the big momentum shifts and zero, sort of empty calorie possessions. And then again, a guy we haven't really got into in a while, John Collins was a 0 in high tops last night. 2 of 11 from the floor, and I know that Quinn says if you got an open look, shoot it.
Yep.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. 1 for 7 from 3. Meanwhile, Al Horford's 2 for 4 from 3, and big ones in big moments.
Big ones.
But John Collins was literally worthless last night. There's no other way to describe it.
Well, so then let's talk about this. It's Dukes and Bell at Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. If it's the construction of this team, meaning the makeup and the players, and that is what needs to be changed around Trey, more so than it is about Trey not getting the job done. Because, again, 9 for 22. Mike wanted him to shoot more. He shot more. He's just not hitting them. Nope. And he talked about it. And I'm going to let you hear what Trey had to say about, listen, I'm trying to do better to make up for how I played even last postseason because it stays with you when you don't play well in these big games. But is it the construction? Because if it is, then I got to tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these guys got to go. 4 of these guys, Mike, need to be gone, and you got to restructure this team in a different way. The thing is, I thought we were trying to build around shooters and wing players and, again, whether it be Hunter, we let Red Velvet go, but you look at the way this team is constructed. They go get Sadiq Bey. I don't know.
Yeah, and
come on, 0 points?
I don't know Sadiq. Again, I'm kind of learning about Sadiq Bey each week, and you wonder why Detroit moved on from him. Sometimes defensive lapses, but last night again an 0 for 4. Big moments, open. That's the thing. A lot of these Hawks baskets were open looks. because Boston turns it over. Boston plays loosey-goosey sometimes, especially when they get a lead. They feel like they're in a comfort zone. But, yeah, Sadiq Bey couldn't give you anything. John Collins couldn't give you anything. Capella couldn't give you anything.
Johnson didn't give you anything. Jalen Johnson, as much as we've talked about his energy and what he brings off the bench.
And a terrible turnover, too, where they picked his pocket coming down the court.
So this is where we are. And, again, Murray, 29, Trae Young, 24 points. Trae talked about, listen, I am trying to make up for the past with the way I'm trying to play.
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, last 2 years, I mean, we've played number 1 seed, number 2 seed. And, I mean, obviously everybody knows the defenses are key towards me, and it's up to me to make the right decision, right reads. And throughout the games today, I think I did in the first quarter early on, and then kind of late in that first quarter, kind of lost the ball a couple of times and had a few turnovers, and it kind of got out of sorts. And I didn't play my best today, and I know I will going forward. I'm not worried.
Ownership.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I want to hear, man. I mean, look, it's something that the pros do, and he did it.
Ownership.
Right.
I love the fact that he says I can play better, and I will, and the fact that he's not worried. Listen, there's two ways to look at this. One, you could say Boston dominated, and they're just a much better team, and a lot of people believe that. Or you could say, hey, it's the playoffs, and they handled home court. Now we have to handle home court. And if we do that, then maybe we make this a series. But if we don't, Mike, and let's just say we split, Boston's going to go home with all the momentum, and they're going to finish this thing, and it will be a gentleman's, sweep, which is where the losing team gets one game, or we're going to tie this thing up and all of a sudden show them that, hey, we're not going to go away quietly. So if you can push it to 6 or 7, Mike, and I don't know if they can. Again, is it impossible? No. Unlikely? Probable, because the way that we are constructed and the way that these guys are playing right now, I'd love to get more out of everybody you just talked about, but it's been so up and down. But hasn't that been our season?
Yeah, but as we said, it's Tatum and Brown, and then this series, White has been unbelievable. This guy's just been, his backstory is pretty amazing, too.
Mike, he's done this.
Yeah, he's been there and done that. But Derek White, they've got 3 guys, and you throw Marcus Smart in there, who's like the aggravating guy. He can also go for like double digits. So they just got better depth. And we talked about, Horford's contribution, Brogdon, that ridiculous 3-point shot at the end of the first quarter. Yeah. They got guys, and they felt, the story in Boston, if you've been reading the Boston papers this week, and if you're a Hawks fan, just to see what's going on, is unfinished business is the shirts they're wearing on the sideline. Everybody gets their shirts for the playoffs because they felt like they blew it against Golden State. And so they're on a mission. And again, they're really ticked off they didn't get the number 1 seed, that they lost to that game late in the season, the Sixers, and they lost to Milwaukee for number 1. So they're on a mission. So you better just listen, and you better start shooting some trees and play some D, and maybe we can steal one home. But I have no expectations for this, to be honest.